Guys, have you ever just had a what is that children's book? Is it like The Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day? Have you ever had one of those days? Well, today is that day. Today for me has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, though not as bad as everybody who is involved in the Lindsay Clancy trial, right? So I should be counting my blessings. Because in the Lindsay Clancy trial, of course, we have got three victims who have lost their lives. Um, Little kiddos, just little ones who have lost their lives, right? Little 5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old Dawson, 8-month-old Callan, whose lives were taken from them by their own mother. She does not dispute this. Um, she has said that she has taken their lives. The question is she criminally responsible? Now that the defense, we're on day 16, and the defense has continued their presentation, the defense is saying she's not responsible. And at least one expert, well, is testified part of yesterday and today, has said, no, she's not criminally responsible. And I mean, as I've been watching it and reading coverage of it, I'm kind of leaning that way too. Of course, this is just my opinion, the opinion that doesn't matter of a formerly fat guy sitting in his office in Western Pennsylvania. Um, but I kind of feel like no. Part of the internet's like she didn't even do it at all. It was her husband that did it. This case is just weird. It's just weird. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm having a bad day. Everybody has them, but we should all be grateful, even for the bad days. Right? I'm still above ground, still enjoying the beautiful weather, the love of my family. I just need to. I haven't been able to shower yet today. I haven't exercised at all today. It's just, oh, this is the Gavin complaining hour. You guys are like, dude, get on with it. But yeah, today's live stream might be just a little off, just because I'm not feeling all that great. It's been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, and it's I just need to count my blessings. Need to get happy. Think of beautiful things in this world. Speaking of beautiful things in this world, that is the question of the day for you. Yes, we have homework. We have homework on this channel. Our question of the day is, what's the prettiest thing you've ever seen? What's the prettiest thing you've ever seen? Uh, yeah, let's reset. You guys are going to help me reset my attitude. Tell me the prettiest thing you've ever seen. I divide it into different things. I divide it into things like, what is the prettiest man-made thing I've ever seen? What is the prettiest natural thing I've ever seen? What is the most beautiful sight I've ever seen? Right? I've got all those things. Melissa's like, hey, love the hat, Gavin. Yeah, I haven't combed my hair. I've been so busy today. Just every everything today is just sucked up all of my time. So yeah, if you're just listening on the podcast, you're not watching on YouTube or on Spotify, I'm wearing a hat because I have not been able to comb my hair today. Terrible, no good, very bad, horrible day, whatever that book is called. But tell me what what is the prettiest thing you've ever seen? And what we're going to do today is you are answering that. We have lots to cover actually. Of course, we're covering the case of Lindsay Clancy, the Massachusetts mom who admits that she killed her three children, Cora, Dawson, and Callan, but that she was experiencing postpartum psychosis and therefore not responsible for the deaths of these children. Now, if she is found not criminally responsible by reason of temporary insanity or legal insanity, she will be committed for a very, very long time. Either way, this woman is not going to see freedom for a very long time. But we're going to get into the testimony of psychologist Paul Zeizel. He continued his testimony today. He was challenged by the prosecution pretty roughly, I would say. They challenged his neutrality, challenged his conclusions, challenged his testimony quite a bit. And of course, we have some kind of lawyering going on, some finagling. The judge did block some testimony from being testified to in front of the jury today. The Boston Globe has done a terrific job with their live coverage. Got to shout out to the Globe. So we're going to be going over that. Of course, we've got some headlines in other stories. Carmelo Anthony, Tyler Robinson. We've got some good news to kind of cleanse the palate. Oh, and today is Wednesday. So we're going to be doing our members and patrons only after show today, which is going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. I had an idea of what to do. Oh, yeah, I remember. It's going to be like it's going to be a hangout Wednesday, but there is some fun news that I want to share with my members and my patrons. So if you are not a member or a patron, I would love it if you would consider it. Now, I am given the power to give away from time to time some membership. So I think I'm going to start today by giving away some memberships so that a few of you might be able to join us who otherwise wouldn't. But if you don't get those I don't get to choose who gets them, but definitely join us for the after show. There's some fun news. And then, of course, we got that good news. We got 3 questions, so we got tons of stuff to talk to today. We got some Gavin to cheering up. We've got some cheering up to do for yours truly. Wow, Javi, I need to take 2 on that. Maybe if you can edit that out in post. We need to cheer me up. It's basically what I'm getting at. I don't know that it's super healthy that we're talking about the murder of 3 children today, but maybe while we take victims seriously, while we take crime seriously, we don't have to take ourselves seriously today. Maybe we can just lighten it up a little bit. I don't know. We're gonna try it on. I got a lot of show to do. Javi, roll that intro. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend. Welcome back to the program. Welcome back to a true crime hobby. It's going to be a hard one. Welcome back to a true crime conversation with yours truly. My name is Gavin. Hope wherever you're watching from, you are having a very good, awesome, amazing day. I hope it's a good one for you. I hope you woke up and were just like a cartoon birds chirping, landing on your little finger, singing together, just having a great day. You got tons of stuff accomplished. I feel like today I've just done so much and haven't gotten anything done. But I shouldn't be complaining because I could be in the shoes of this family, the family of Lindsay and Patrick Clancy, who, by all appearances, look to be the happy American family. 3 kiddos, just all smiles and cuteness. Oh my goodness, just look at, kids just melt me, guys. I've been a lover of babies my whole life. I was like one of the few like teenage boys whose job, like I had babysitting jobs. I think I was probably the 2nd or 3rd or 4th choice after the girls like turned them down. But I just loved babysitting because I just love little kids. And look at these punums. Look at those cute little faces that sadly are no longer upon the earth because their mother, Lindsay Clancy, in what appears to be a moment of desperation and mental illness. At least that's what she's claiming. Took the lives of her own children. 5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old Dawson, and 8-month-old Callan, which is not, I mean, it's an ugly thing. It's an ugly, ugly thing. So for just a moment, let's see what you guys are saying for your answers to the question of the day. What is the most beautiful or the prettiest thing you've seen? Archangel says puppies. Puppies are fun to watch. Puppies are are amazing. John says, good evening, Gavin. Don't call me Gav. Thank you very much. Yeah, Becky says, cool hat. Thank you. I have had this hat for many moons. I love this hat. Melissa loves the hat. Melissa says, alrighty then. Prettiest thing Tina May says she's ever seen are her mom's green eyes. Miss them so much. Oh my goodness, green eyes are a beautiful thing. That reminds me, there was a family growing up that had 3 sisters, one in the grade ahead of me, one in my grade, and one like 2 grades below. All of them just strikingly beautiful. 2 with bright blue eyes and 1 with bright green eyes. Just striking young women. Alas, they were all blonde, so they never really interested me, but they were awesome girls. Green eyes are a beautiful, beautiful thing. G Smile Sarah says, Colorado here. Question of the day, my children's and grandchildren's faces every time I see them, and a rainbow. That's adorable. That's adorable. As you guys know, I am a grandfather in waiting right now. I do love my children's faces, and going away for the extended weekend like Kimberly and I did, it does bring a smile to your face when you see your kids and you haven't seen them for a couple days, right? It's pretty darn fun. Clarinet Girl says, prettiest thing for me was watching sunset over beach on Sullivan's Island, South Carolina. Sunsets are beautiful things. I've seen way more sunsets in my day than I have seen sunrises because I'm just not a morning person. LV Jodes or Jodes, I don't know. I hope it's not Jodes. Says, thank you for the membership. I'm here every day. I'm just poor. Well, I'm glad you have the membership for a little while, and welcome. Montana Sunshine is in the house. Awesome. Wyatt says, the thing that I remember most is the stunning view of the Grand Teton Mountains approaching from the east side. The Tetons are a beautiful, beautiful mountain range. My brother-in-law and sister have a family cabin in Teton Valley, Wyoming, so on the west side, that I visited one time in my life, something like 30 years ago, and from that side, they were just absolutely glorious as well. So pretty. Nina Pokora says, Gavin, one of the most beautiful things that happened to me was to watch a sunset from the Sugarloaf Hill in Rio de Janeiro. Oh, I bet. That sounds glorious. Wyatt says, I was approaching the mountains. They weren't approaching me. Badly worded. That works. That works. Robin says, Gavin, a cool cat in a mighty old hat. How about that? Robin's making me feel, you guys are making me feel better. Pretty awesome. Mary Shaw, as their dad, you do not babysit your own kids. You tend to them, care for them, but do not babysit them. Yeah, I'm not talking about babysitting my kids. I'm talking about when I was like 11, 12, 13 years old, I was a babysitter. That was one of my first jobs. I had like a paper route, but then I would be a babysitter. Yeah. Yeah, of course you don't babysit your own kids. You parent them. I agree. LV says, I'm Japanese and Polish. Somehow I ended up with green eyes. I bet you are beautiful. I bet those green eyes just pop. And that is cool. Let me answer the question of the day for me. When it comes to man-made things, I think maybe the most beautiful thing I've ever seen is the Lion Monument in Lucerne, Switzerland. That I think it memorializes the Swiss Guard who lost their lives in the French Revolution. It is something beautiful to behold. Everybody should see it. If you can see it in person, I would highly recommend that. When it comes to like nature, the aspen grove at the western base of the Teton Mountains is also something to behold. Oh my goodness, it is beautiful. Then, of course, the births of 4 of the 5 children that I got to witness. Alas, the 5th was an emergency cesarean, and I was not allowed inside. That was not a beautiful experience, but those are the prettiest things. And yeah, beauty's all around us. Makes me feel good. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for answering those questions. Hold on. We got a couple more coming in. Habits Pink Rabbits says, hard to choose, but one of the prettiest things I've seen has to be the Oklahoma sunsets. Orange, pink, purple, gold, and dark blue. And Becky says, my grandchildren are all beautiful. A lovely sentiment. Thank you very much for sharing that. And hopefully I can get happy. It's always nice to spend some time with you guys. Okay, let's hop into some coverage from the Lindsay Clancy trial today. I want to take you over to an article in the Boston Globe. Now, this is a print off. I always do print offs on PDFs because it just seems that I can count on them. They don't refresh. They don't pop up ads. They don't do all the things. So it's 13 pages long. I don't want to go through it all. Plus, it goes pretty quickly anyway. But we're going to start from the bottom. Okay, we're going to start from the bottom, go on down. There we go. And there are a couple things that I just wanted to start out. Okay, let's start. We'll skip all the vibes. Okay. Psychologist returns to the stand. 10:05 a.m., Dr. Paul Zeizel, one of the first psychologists to evaluate Lindsay Clancy after she killed her children, is back on the stand for the defense. Yesterday, he testified about his first meetings with Lindsay Clancy when she called her then husband on speakerphone and told him she had heard voices telling her to kill their children. Zeizel went on to testify that he had since met Clancy more than 45 times. A few minutes later, Zeizel said that according to Clancy's medical records, she expressed fear to her medical providers that her mental health struggles would lead state agencies to separate her from her children. Her concern was that when people could hear her thoughts, her children would be removed from her care, he said. Clancy was having paranoid symptoms of psychosis, he said. Now, the thought on this, like, okay, I'm a layperson. Say I'm a member of the jury, right? And so I'm listening to testimony. I'm a person that doesn't have any expertise in anything. In fact, they probably are disqualifying people that have these kinds of expertise. I have heard lawyers argue that the jury should be full of lawyers, and yet every time I've gone to jury duty, every time there's a lawyer, the lawyers are like, you're excused, right? The point of a jury is to be peers and to be lay people who hear the evidence, who make a deliberate decision and unanimous decision, right? So let's say I'm here, I'm a member of the jury, and I am hearing her concern is that her children would be taken away from her if people could only hear her thoughts. And yet she was hearing voices telling her to kill her children. Those two things do not marry up, right? A sane person does not think those things. And so the question for the juror becomes, do I believe this witness? Or do I believe what this expert witness has been told? Do I believe the person who purportedly told him that? Lindsay Clancy in this case, right? Because the jurors are the judges of the facts. They are the ones that are to consider the facts. They are the ones to consider the credibility. They're the ones to consider the evidence. And so if I'm a juror there and I'm going, okay, he is saying that she was concerned that her children would be taken away, but also that her children, she knew that her children could be in danger. That to me shows a certain level of not saneness. And so when I go back into the jury room to discuss it with my fellow lay people, these are some of the things that are going to be brought up. And when you go in there, it doesn't have to be this way, but it always seems to be this way. You start your deliberation by figuring out a baseline, right? Okay, let's see where we all are. You all do, sometimes it's, you can just say, you don't care what people think about you particularly, and so you don't mind saying it out loud. Sometimes you write it on a slip of paper, put it in a hat so that nobody knows, right? You do an anonymous little survey, guilty, not guilty, just to see where we are, right? You know that some are going to go in there going, dude, she was hearing voices saying kill your kids, and also concerned that her kids would be taken away from her care. That is not sane. And then others are going to be like, I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe it for a second, right? So, this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough one. Zeizel told jurors that Clancy's medical record suggests she presented with anhedonia, a psychiatric term that means the inability to feel joy. When someone has anhedonia, they cannot enjoy life, he said. They don't laugh. They have no pleasure. Continuing on, Dr. Zeizel told jurors that Lindsay Clancy had intrusive thoughts regarding voices that in her head that she heard constantly. I don't know about you guys, but the only voice that I hear in my head is my own. I like my inner monologue, my inner thinking. This is a bit of a tangent, but this is really interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and play the tangent thing. Another fish tangent now. Woo! Guys, over the weekend, I was in St. Louis visiting friends with my wife, and we went to SLAM, the St. Louis Art Museum, and we only had like a little while to be in there, and so we were kind of buzzing through pretty quickly. I'm a lover of impressionist art. I don't know. I love Seurat, and I love Manet, and I love Van Gogh is my favorite. I love the stuff. And when I stand there looking at it, it does speak to me, right? But I had a friend say, we went into the modern art exhibit. I can't remember the name of the artist, famous artist, but he just painted panes of colors. And my friend, we stood there, and he was explaining what the painting was saying to him. I was sitting there going, doesn't say anything to me. When I stand in front of a Dutch peasant painted by Vincent van Gogh and I look at her eyes, I have a conversation with myself, right? I have a conversation with her. Look at this. Look at what he has captured. Look at the despair that has been captured on her face. Look at the simultaneous determination and sadness. And I have this whole conversation, and when I ask my buddy, like, what is this painting saying? So when I stand in front of that Van Gogh, for example, say a different one, the violence, right? He's feeling inner turmoil, and I'm having this conversation with myself about Van Gogh's inner turmoil in the last year of his life. He's going to go out into a field, and he's going to put a firearm to his chest and pull the trigger, and you can see the turmoil in this, and I'm having a conversation. Well, I'm asking my friend, when you stand in front of that picture, that painting, what is it saying to you? And he said to me, it's not speaking English. It's not saying anything to me, but it's saying a lot to me. Right? Anyway, it was very, very interesting how he described that. I never heard that before, because when I look at art, there is an inner conversation, an inner dialogue. But that's not what was happening to Lindsay Clancy. She was hearing like a male voice in her head talking to her. I've never experienced anything like that. Okay? So Dr. Zeizel told jurors that Lindsay Clancy had intrusive thoughts regarding voices that in her head that she heard constantly. They were getting worse. They were telling her she needed to off herself. Defense attorney Kevin Reddington asked the good doctor about Clancy's Google searches, particularly those asking, "Can you cure sociopathy?" or sociopathy, depending on where you are from. Quote, "Was that indicative of her feelings that she is a homicidal maniac, or is that in the same time frame that she was Googling all of the effects of medications on the human being?" Reddington asked. Zeizel answered in the affirmative, adding that Clancy continued to Google the effects of medication heaviness and psychosis. Reddington asked whether people in a psychotic state are able to hold normal interactions with others. Yes, they can do everyday tasks of living, Zeizel said. It's a pretty strong testimony. Okay. Dr. Zeizel told jurors that he evaluated Clancy, this is later on in his testimony, on the Hare psychopathy checklist, Hare spelled Hare, which measures for antisocial personality disorder. The result is, this is a quote, "The result is that she does not have any type of antisocial personality disorder, also known as sociopathy or sociopathy," he said. Zeizel said that in his review of the medical records, he found that Clancy had a mental disease that impaired her ability to understand what she was doing, namely bipolar disorder with postpartum psychosis. So he's got a combo, a combination analysis here, right? He's saying that she's like, she has bipolar disorder, but now she's all like, add into this postpartum psychosis. He continues, she was unable to conform her behaviors to the rule of law. She had no appreciation for the wrongfulness of her act. This is the legal requirement in order to prove murder, right? Not only that she broke the law, that she took the kids, but that she could appreciate and understand that what she was doing was wrong. And the doctor, in his expert opinion, said because of her postpartum psychosis, along with this diagnosis of bipolar disorder, she couldn't, is what he says. Okay. Oh, we learned that Dr. Zeizel first met Clancy as a favor to Reddington. Okay. He said that he first met Clancy as a colleague and friend of her attorney, Kevin Reddington. Quote, "There was no predetermined notion whether I would be interested or willing or even offered the opportunity to take the case," he said. "I was just going to meet with her given the fact that she was in a bed in the ICU, locked to the bed frame, and no one was able to visit her." The prosecution said that Clancy had previously spoken to staff at the hospital, including psychiatrists, before Zeizel met with her. Prosecutors pressed, this is later on in the day, Dr. Zeizel on Clancy's mental state immediately after the killings in his first meeting with her in early February 2023. Zeizel had said Clancy was foggy as to what had happened and didn't know where she was. The prosecution noted that she was lucid enough to give him her husband's phone number. Now, what are they doing here? They're challenging the testimony for the jurors to consider the credibility of his expert opinion, right? They're not picking apart his testimony just for the sake of it. It's a presentation to the jurors, and they are, again, the judges of the credibility of the witness. And they're the judges of the facts. And so, if she was lucid enough to dial or to provide Patrick's phone number, how can she possibly be foggy? Right? And I think that's a good counterattack. Zeizel's answer is, if you don't know where you are, it doesn't mean you can't have a conversation with anyone. Shannon Buckingham asked whether in those first conversations Clancy asked about her children. Zeizel said she did not. Zeizel acknowledged that Clancy has not claimed to hear voices since the killings happened in January 2023. So she had all these voices in her head, she says. But once the deeds were done, the goal was accomplished, the voices went away, according to the testimony. Zeizel said she had confided hearing voices before the killings to Sheila Kavanaugh, a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital. Quote, I spoke to other people who I asked about the nature of their interactions with Ms. Clancy, he said. It was not a fishing expedition. I asked them if they could tell me what happened. Zeizel said that Kavanaugh had relayed to him that Clancy told her that she had heard a male voice instructing her to kill her children and then herself. A male voice. She heard a voice other than an inner dialogue, right? Also, you may be asking yourself, what the crap with hearsay? Well, an expert testimony is a little bit different than a testimony that is given from somebody who witnessed something. An expert testimony gets to share hearsay, especially if it is part of his investigation, right? So this full on is hearsay. He's saying, I heard her tell me that Lindsay told her, right? I mean, this is definitional hearsay, but he gets to do that in just because of the fact that he's an expert witness. But yeah, so if Lindsay Clancy heard this male voice saying, do that to the children, then do it to yourself, but the voice is gone now, is she just making an excuse that she heard this voice? I don't know, guys. She was seeking help, man. She was seeking help from anybody that could help her. And I think she was doing the right thing, right? The conscientious thing, seeking help. If I were a jury here, there is no way I would vote to convict. No way I would vote to convict this woman. No way, no chance. I'm curious what you think, though. I mean, we can respectfully and lovingly disagree. If I'm wrong, or if you think I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. Just do so respectfully, right? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Okay, continuing on. The prosecution pressed Dr. Zeizel on Clancy's intrusive thoughts of, ideation of offing herself in the months before the killings, namely whether those thoughts were the same voice as the one she said she heard telling her to kill her children. Quote, there are multiple layers here of having intrusive thoughts, Zeizel said. Those voices that you are saying she told, let's see, this is a question from the prosecutor. Those voices that you're saying she told you she heard about wanting to die or to kill herself or her brain damaged, did she say it was her own voice she could hear? That Buckingham asked. The answer was she did not identify whose voice it was. Fair to say the only time she specifically said she heard a male voice was when she recounted the events on January 24th, 2023. Buckingham said, referring to the date of killings. Yes, that's accurate. Okay, so the male voice was just once, apparently. The prosecution, let's see. Prosecution pressed the doctor on his assessment of Lindsay's treatment. noting that Clancy had declined an opportunity for an inpatient treatment. She didn't want to do that, said prosecutor Shannon Buckingham, referring to Zeizel's testimony that Clancy had gone to the ER but did not get help. Help is in the eye of the beholder, he answered. If she felt she didn't get help, that's how she felt. My testimony is based on my evaluation of her, he added. This is what Miss Clancy shared with me. Who am I to doubt what she believes or doesn't believe about the offer for treatment or help? It's her opinion. Judge Sullivan then called the attorneys to a brief sidebar. Coming out of that, the prosecution suggested that Lindsay did not show distress on her children's birthdays at the hospital. And this is interesting. This is another tactic to pick apart her claim that her claim through her team of postpartum psychosis and legal insanity, right? Okay, the prosecution asked psychologist Dr. Zeizel whether he was aware of Lindsay Clancy's medical records on the days of her children's birthdays. Prosecutor Buckingham said that on what would have been Callan's first birthday, 4 months after the killings, Clancy was seen interacting with peers at Tewksbury State Hospital without any visible distress. On other birthdays and anniversaries, he added, Clancy was also seen as being generally sociable and pleasant upon approach, with no noted behavioral issues or trouble sleeping. You would agree that noting her sleeping habits based on this particular individual's history would be important things for hospital to monitor, right? Correct, he said. I would agree with that. So what are they trying to say here? First of all, does she even know what day it is? That's my first question. If she does, fine. But is this to indicate that she does not feel guilt for the killings? To me, that would support a finding of legal insanity. So it's I don't know. It's kind of weird. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the live stream and in the comments. Very, very, yeah, you guys are coming in with lots of, be sure to put GF in your comments so I can see it. So yeah, to me, that's like, dude, if she's not showing any emotion on Callan's birthday, my first question is, as a juror, so I'm putting myself in the jury's point of view here, put myself in a proverbial jury box. What does that tell me? Is that my first question is, does she know what day it is? And two, does that go to a lack of understanding or a lack of consciousness of guilt? For me, that kind of buoys the defense. Let me do a couple more and then we'll go back. We'll go to your comments here in just a second. The prosecution revisited Dr. Zeizel's assertion that individuals suffering from symptoms of psychosis may still have normal interactions. They noted that on the day of the killings, Clancy took her daughter Cora to the hospital with no visible distress. Quote, fair to say, if you're in a psychotic state, that person themselves has a significant amount of distress, prosecutor Shannon Buckingham said. And in order to mask those symptoms, it requires an enormous amount of control. That doesn't even sound like a question. Why do lawyers make statements? Why don't they ask? It doesn't matter. Okay. Quote, some people will hear voices that are nominal. They whisper, Zeizel answered. Some people hear voices that are yelling and screaming. It's on a range. It's a continuum. The more upsetting, more powerful, demanding the voice is, the more difficult it might be to resist it and do other things, he said. The less, the easier it is. On redirect, defense attorney Reddington rejected the prosecution's suggestion that Dr. Zeizel fell victim to confirmation bias in his assessment of Lindsay Clancy. He appeared to start a question asking why it took so long for the district attorney's office to retain 3 doctors of their own, presumably doctors Kirk Heilbrunn, Avram Mack, and Gregory Sathoff, to assess Clancy. Before he could continue, the prosecution objected, and Reddington asked to approach the bench. After a brief sidebar, Judge William Sullivan called a recess. And why don't we recess now to just look at your comments coming in on the live stream. Tina May, thank you for the membership. You are most welcome, Tina May. Mooney says the Aurora Borealis in Vermont. This is to the question of the day, some of the most spectacular colors shooting out of a vortex. Never seen anything quite like it. I'm actually shocked we get to see the Northern Lights here in Pennsylvania from time to time. Not all the time. Robin says, one of my favorite things to see is my children asleep quiet, not with me in the bathroom, in their own room, completely and amazingly asleep. It is a beautiful thing to watch kiddos sleep. Becky says, people need to understand that psychotic people don't act crazy all the time, and they are not necessarily irrational. It comes and goes. Yeah, I kind of view it as like a wrestling match, right? Like sometimes you're circling one another. Sometimes you are gripping one another. Sometimes you are pulling and yanking and pushing and shoving and trying to trip and trying to take to the ground. And then you get back up and circle around each other looking for the opportunity again. So I agree with you, Becky. Dietitian says, if people knew her thoughts, she'd lose her kids. Why would she want to keep them in her care? Seems selfish and manipulative. Or, well, I mean, I think that's a fair comment, but does it also seem insane? Could a rational person be selfish and manipulative, and that display be similar to an irrational person, an insane person, grappling with their mental illness? Could they present in similar ways? Again, like, I don't know, but as a juror, those jurors are going to have to be asking those questions. Robin says, that's how things went with my doctor who unalived her son. There were signs she was slipping, but nothing like this was expected. She had intentions to save her son, no matter what the cost. Interesting. Hey, Kara, it was Rothko. Thank you very much. Yes, it was Rothko that my friend was looking at. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. Robin says, reminds me of Duchamp's leg exhibit. It's a head scratcher. I've not seen that. When it comes to art, I really enjoy realism. Impressionism is my favorite. When we start to get into cubism, you start to lose me. And then modern art, it feels like just decoration. It doesn't feel like art. But you know what? Different things speak to different people. So who am I to say it's not art, right? Wyatt says, new research says that Van Gogh was shot accidentally by young hoodlums, and he said it was suicide to protect them. It would have been impossible for him to walk that far with a chest wound. Yeah, I don't buy it. Respectfully, do not buy that at all. I think we just like to talk about things. Funny. Harley says, if she killed, say, 3 of your kids, and he didn't walk that far. He was found by Teo. He didn't walk that far, and he missed his heart. He completely missed his heart. So, yeah, trouble breathing, sure. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Harley says, if she killed, say, 3 of your kids on a random killing spree and was found not guilty for reason of insanity, would you agree? No. She sought help but never followed through. I don't know how I would feel. I think that, Harley, I think that is a great question. I think it's a great question. And I think it's a really good mental exercise. I also think that it's a very good thing not to have family members sitting on the jury, right? Because you've got to be able to reasonably, logically, rationally judge the facts and the credibility of the witnesses. So would I be upset if my 3 kids were killed on a random killing spree and the person was found not guilty by reason of insanity? I don't know how I would feel. I don't. But I feel like I would feel a lot of things. But if a person was actually insane, actually, I don't know. I had the saddest, I experienced the saddest thing. It's not, how do I say this? I didn't experience the saddest thing. I witnessed the saddest thing. It was a trial that I was covering for my day job. I was in the gallery of the courtroom, and as a reporter, I was covering this case here in Western Pennsylvania, and the man was claiming his defense was not guilty by reason of insanity. And he had gone in and had murdered a man in his home and had tried to murder the man's wife, the elderly people, and was fortunately stopped. Fortunately meaning like one person survived out of the two. And I think he was clearly insane. Now, he was found guilty, but I think he was clearly insane. I think the jury got it wrong. But during the victim impact statements at the sentencing, the woman who survived, whose husband was shot dead, said something to the effect of, this isn't verbatim, but I have nothing left in my heart but hate for you. Right? And this was a woman who she wouldn't otherwise feel that way. So, it was so sad. I'm like, oh man, he not only has he taken her husband, he has taken her happiness and her love, right? So how would I feel? And would I agree not guilty by reason of insanity? I might agree, but also still be angry at it. At the same time. It's hard to say. She sought help, but never followed through. So, like, Harley, if you were in the jury, you would be saying guilty. I don't care if she is insane. Guilty, right? And that is a position that jurors will take as they deliberate, I think. Great comment and a very good thought exercise. Thank you for that. Robin says, Gavin, I think Lindsay Clancy needs help, and she is now living in her own homemade hell. Lifetime mental health care, not guilty by reason of diminished capacity. Okay. Kim says, I am with you. Oh man, it just refreshed. I need to find my way back there. I'm with you about Lindsay, but it comes down to the 24 minutes on the tragic day, and I'm curious to see how each side addresses this, all down to those minutes. Very interesting. And yeah, you're right. Doesn't matter how she acted after or before. What was her mental state during, right? That's something that those jurors are going to grapple with. Of course, her mental state before and after can inform your opinion on what happened during those 24 minutes. You guys are so brilliant at this. Becky says not guilty, and she will need mental health help for the rest of her life. She still wants to unsubscribe from this planet. Jules and me says, I feel empathy for Lindsay. She belongs in an institution, not a prison. I also believe if given a chance to unalive herself, she will take it no matter where she is, I guess. Yeah. LV says, all I know is there has to be some kind of accountability taken for 3 lost lives. See, that's the thing, right? Is not guilty by reason of insanity means there is no accountability for the actions. It doesn't, she would still be in a medical facility probably for the rest of her life. But sometimes, according to the law, there is no accountability. It's what a not guilty verdict is. But, I feel you. I feel you. Becky says, anyone who has been hospitalized and strongly medicated in a coma for any length of time, how would you know what day it is? Yeah, I agree with that. Nina says, I think she actually got worse after the over-medication. That, together with the insomnia, could have pushed her over the edge of sanity and made her do what she did. Great comment. keep on going. Information Junkie says, Gavin, I think you're wrong. Oh, man. You started it perfectly. Good job. You know, the internet isn't full of people who just like to troll others. Full of thoughtful people. This is great, Information Junkie. Good job. Gavin, I think you're wrong. Starting your view with the assumption that she told the truth after rather than before killing her children. Yeah. I mean, so the jurors will have to decide, was she telling the truth before and after? Or was she lying about the whole thing? Right? And you start to weigh, well, what is the incentive? What would have made her lie about that before and after? What would have made her do that? And I think that's a valid conversation to have during jury deliberations, for sure. For me, looking at the testimony, looking at the evidence, I am inclined to believe that she was not lying before and after. But I also realize that people will come to different conclusions like you did. And thank you very much for that thought. That's a great thought. Country Thang. Hey, Country Thang. Just a thought. Justice for the kids looks different on this one. It brings eyes to women's mental health. Okay. Yeah, good comments today, guys. My goodness. Best chat on YouTube. Mooney says it all the time. Robin says it all the time. And it is true. I just love how thoughtful and engaged you guys are in the live chat. My goodness. Thank you and thanks for keeping it classy, man. You guys are amazing. All right. Let's go back over to, the jury returns to the courtroom. Let's see. Defense lawyer Kevin Reddington at 1226 returned to the prosecution's suggestion that Clancy did not show distress in the hospital on anniversaries of the birthdays of her slain children. Dr. Zeizel, a psychologist, told jurors that records show Clancy is sociable with her parents and other patients at Tewksbury Hospital, noting she is extremely well regarded and well liked on that unit by everyone. That presentation doesn't necessarily mean she is not in any kind of mental distress, he added. Reddington suggested that records don't suggest she's laughing and partying and having a good time. No, Zeizel answered, Lindsay Clancy has bad days and worse days. He added that she does speak about her children often. Quote, she really loves them and misses them and thinks of them every single day, almost every moment of the day, he said. She's in good hands, he testifies. The prosecution asked Dr. Zeizel, a psychologist, whether he had ever spent as much time with a defendant he was evaluating for criminal responsibility. Zeizel said that in his career as a defense expert, there was just one other defendant that he spent as much time with. Defense attorney Kevin Reddington asked whether Clancy had continued to exhibit thoughts of self-unaliving at Tewksbury Hospital. Quote, she's in good hands at the moment, but there's always a concern that sits directly below the surface. Jury is excused. Okay, so the judge evaluates some testimony. There's a therapist who worked as a mental health specialist at McLean Hospital from 2014 to 2021. I think this might be the person, who was a TikToker as well. After Zeizel left the stand, Judge William Sullivan excused the jury until 2, while he assessed the testimony of another woman called by the defense. So Thorndike, who worked as a mental health specialist at McLean Hospital from 14 to 21, said she watched testimony of the trial before being sequestered, including the testimony of Lindsay Clancy's former husband, Patrick Clancy. Thorndike was not working at McLean, a psychiatric facility, when Clancy was admitted, but said she was interested due to her work in the case, as well as her previous experience following the Karen retrial. I'd just been watching like the day-to-day, like the live stream, she said. I'm interested in the case. Let's see. Defense called her as a witness. Prosecution objected. Thorndike had made a TikTok video challenging the prosecution's claim that there were adequate staffing levels when Clancy was admitted. Sullivan is held the voir dire, a hearing out of the jury's presence so he can hear what she would say if allowed to testify. And then, let's see, she says, I felt like what was discussed in court was not aligned with my experience, with what my experience was. She said she worked for several years but left before Clancy sought treatment at McLean. Reddington said he reached out to Thorndike through a private investigator after seeing her video on social media. And then eventually, I'm just gonna, they spar back and forth over the admissibility of her testimony, and ultimately the judge denies the motion to allow her as a witness. And then Judge William Sullivan addressed the jury shortly after they returned from an afternoon recess, said proceedings would pause for the day, citing an unforeseen circumstance. This is not something we saw coming, but you're not to speculate about what it is. You're not to hold it against either side. Sullivan called a recess until tomorrow morning when testimony is expected to resume. So, man, good reporting, Boston Globe. Great coverage. Way to distill that down into the elixir that we can take on a daily basis without watching every moment of the trial. I thought that, it was really well done. I love good reporting. You guys know I love good reporting as much as I love good lawyering. So that's what happened today. And boy, do I appreciate your commentary on this, because again, it's going to be lay people like you and like me who sit in judgment of the facts and the credibility of the witness, and ultimately endeavor to determine whether or not Lindsay Clancy is guilty of murdering her 3 children, or if she is not guilty by reason of legal insanity. And talk about a difficult job. I would be all excited, though. I would be all excited as a juror to, I would be writing a book about this later. That's what I would be doing. My goodness. So guys, that's what we got, but don't worry. I've got some headlines that I want to share with you. I've got some good news that I want to share with you. Speaking of TikTokers, it's a TikToker good news. But before we get into any of that, how about we answer your questions? Here we go. Hopefully. Maybe we will answer. There we go. With Gavin Fish. Oh, I had a little technical difficulty there, but we got it handled. Guys, in this segment, I answer questions that you ask me, that you send to 3questions@gavinfish.com, 3questions@gavinfish.com. I was looking at my Outlook, which is the world's worst program for email, but apparently I don't know. I'm a masochist, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 emails from John and one from Kelly that I need to add to my list. Need to ask my agent to go do that. So I will do that. Send your emails in to 3questions@gavinfish.com. You can ask one question. You can ask 1,000 questions. What I will be doing, though, is answering 3 at a time in the order that I see. I determine. I like to do it that way, because sometimes we're able to make little themes out of shows. Aaron asks, "Hey Gavin, what do you miss most about places you used to live?" I don't know that I miss places, but I do miss times. Right? I have really, really happy memories at all of the places that we have lived. But it's more about the times. Like, when you are a young family and you've got little ones, you're just so overwhelmed by life that you only take moments here and there to really appreciate it. I know that I took those moments because I have the memories, right? But I just wish that I would have been patient enough and paid enough attention to just really soak that stuff in. So no, I don't think I have any places that I used to live that I miss, but I do miss the time. Like we were talking just a couple nights ago about how with our three older children, we had a dog that basically taught them to walk because he was patient and sweet. And as little toddlers, they could grab on to wherever they wanted to grab onto him and lift themselves up. It could be his ear, it could be his lip, it could be his snout, his tail, his flank, whatever. He would patiently stand there as they pulled themselves up, and he would walk along with them as they walked along. And it was just something sweet. Like that a member of the animal kingdom and a member of the human part of the animal kingdom would coordinate that well, right? Would cooperate that well. And I just love those memories. Watching our son, he had a rope swing in his bedroom, swinging from his dresser onto his bed, onto like all the other furniture. It was just so sweet to watch. Watching the kids running downstairs on Christmas morning, and the olders when they were told that they were going to have a baby sibling again. Those moments, and getting pins at Cub Scouts, and getting a good at bat in Little League, or climbing a rope, or they're just walking with our daughter as a high school senior across the football field because she was a cheerleader. That kind of stuff. Just those are moments that I miss and will always miss because I'm such a sentimental person. But I guess I don't miss places all that much. Thanks, Aaron. Question number 2. Oh, and by the way, I love if you guys will answer these questions in the live stream and in the comments. Put GF in your comments so you can see it. Marcy says, what is one place? See, we've got this theme about places you visited that surprised you in a good way. Place that I visited that surprised me in a good way. What's really funny is, I don't know. A place I visited that surprised me in a good way. I guess I'm just not attached to places as I am times. A place I visited that surprised me in a good way. I do love to be in awe of things, like to go someplace and just feel small, right? Go into a redwood forest and just go, not only am I small, but I am short. Like my lifespan is short. I take up an insignificant amount of time, and if I live to be 100 years old, that will still be true. Or to stand at like the base of El Capitan, or to look up from the Yosemite Valley at the face of Half Dome, or I don't know, even man-made things, to stand at the bottom of I don't know, the Eiffel Tower and look up and go, this was created by people. I like to be in awe. I like that stuff. I like to see things like old kitchens where the butcher block has just been worn away from years of years, usually in these kinds of cases of servants laboring away in a kitchen. I like that stuff. So it's really not places as it is moments. Yeah. I'm not trying to dodge questions, just I don't feel that. Maybe you do, and if you do, share it with me in the comments. Question number 3, what is one place? See, we've got a we've really got the theme going here. In the U.S., you think more people should visit. So I'm not big on the touristy stuff, the touristy attractions. Oh, but I will tell you one touristy attraction that I think people should visit. And this didn't happen this past weekend. We had done it before. But the Gateway Arch in St. Louis is really cool. Like, it's really cool. I would recommend that to anybody. When you go up in the little train cars that, they have to travel up like this, and so it's like this little tram, and you're like in a little Mork and Mindy egg with 4 other people sitting on these tiny little stools, and you're going up and you're going diagonally like it's some sort of turbo lift or something, and it's clicking back, it has to rock back and forth, right? It's a real experience. And then when you get up there and you're looking through those tiny little windows across the Mississippi or across the city, that is something to behold. It really is something cool. So I would suggest that to everyone. Also, just seeing the power of the Mississippi is something that is really cool. I really liked that. Now, the last time I was in St. Louis with the family, that's all we did. And then this past trip, we did a couple of other things, which was really great. We went into the Basilica of St. Louis, and they happened to be finishing up Mass. And I'm not Catholic, but I recognize the beauty of going into a place of worship and seeing people worship. That was pretty cool. So those are the questions to answer in the live chat. What do you miss most about places you used to live? What's one place you visited that surprised you in a good way? And what is one place in the U.S. you think more people should visit? And if you can answer those questions in the live chat while I do headlines, that would be a terrific thing. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's move on to headlines, Javi. Let's do it.
True crime headlines.
Okie dokie. Guys, I've got 2 stories that I want to bring you today. I think these are both from the AP. They are. The first one, written by Hannah Schoenbaum. Prosecutors cite an engraved bullet to argue Charlie Kirk was politically targeted. Now, why is this important? This is important because Utah has the old DP, and they have to have aggravating circumstances in order to seek that penalty. Let's see what's going on here. Dateline is Salt Lake City. Prosecutors in Charlie Kirk's killing pointed yesterday, to an engraved bullet arguing that the inscription, "Hey Fascist, Catch," demonstrates that Kirk was targeted for how the defendant perceived his politics. Whether defendant Tyler Robinson acted out of political animus could be key for prosecutors seeking the DP or for his attorneys in taking that punishment off the table. The prosecution and defense have filed dueling documents focused on whether the crime included aggravating factors that would make Robinson eligible for the DP if convicted. Those include political targeting and whether the shooting endangered thousands of others who attended Kirk's September 10th event at Utah Valley University. I think the answer to both of those things is yes, it was politically targeted, and yes, it was dangerous for all of the other people there. I can't imagine a judge won't come back saying, yeah, there are aggravating circumstances, but that's what they're sparring over now. Hey, Carmelo Anthony, the young man who was convicted of murdering another young man at a track meet. There's some news in this case. Carmelo Anthony case orders judge to be removed. Dateline McKinney, Texas. The judge who presided over Texas teenager Carmelo Anthony's murder conviction was removed on Wednesday ahead of a key hearing to decide whether to grant a retrial in the fatal stabbing of a 17-year-old athlete at a high school track meet. The removal was a legal victory for Anthony, now 19, whose attorneys wanted the judge off the case following the June trial, partly because of a TV interview in which the judge said jurors got it right when they delivered a guilty verdict in the killing of Austin Metcalf. Outside the courtroom, McKinney, cheers erupted in the hallway while some Anthony supporters chanted "Free Carmelo" in the parking lot outside. Quote, today's ruling answers a fundamental question, whether a reasonable, fully informed observer would see Judge Roach's conduct and believe that he could fairly and impartially consider a motion for a new trial, Anthony's lawyer said in a statement. So we'll see if he is granted that new trial. Now, before we get into good news, we're going to which we do to cleanse our palates. By the way, my horrible, terrible, no good, very bad day has turned into a great day. This has been fun. This has been fun. Plus, like your comments have been amazing today, guys. I've really appreciated the classiness and the ability to disagree and express our opinion. It's been great. Good. Oh, classiest and best chat on YouTube. Thank you for doing that. Thanks for making that a very good day for me. Okay. Let's go over to your comments here real quick. Jennifer says, a place that I lived and miss is Swaziland. Lived there for 4 years as a child. It was magical. That's cool. That's cool. You know, I was chatting today with a friend from Argentina, and we were planning to go to Argentina October of 2027. And I do miss it there, but it's really the people that I miss. Tina May says, sorry, Saudi Daisy, Tennessee, in the middle of nowhere. It's not sorry, Daisy, Tennessee. Must have been autocorrect. Connie says, Jamaica for question 1 and 2. Went there on a mission trip. Very cool. Very, very cool. Let's see. LV says, sounds like you missed the late 80s and 90s as much as I do. Yeah, it was a magical time. I graduated high school in 1993, so I went from 1989 through 1993. Great time. Oh, junior high was awesome too. Yeah, that was fun. Jennifer says, a place I visited that surprised me in a good way was Flamenco Beach, Puerto Rico. The water's so blue and clear, white sand, peaceful, lots of history, stunning. Marie says, question 1, I would answer the same as you. I miss moments with family. Question 2, Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon is something everybody should see. I agree with that. And LV says, I need to sneeze. Hang on. Woo, excuse me. Says, my special place is Banff, Alberta. I grew up near there. It's magical. Yeah, it's cool to have a place you can go home to. My home is Orangevale, California, and Peoria, Utah. I love going to both of those places. They both feel like coming home every time I go there. So maybe I do miss places. Maybe. Thank you, Mooney. Thank you for the, that makes me feel good. You guys are paying attention. You're in the moment. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, we're done with comments. Now, it's time to get happy, get jazzy, maybe, Wanda. Get some transition music going. Yeah, we're going to transition from talking about true crime to talking about good news. Wanda, roll a good news music. Oh, this is the extended version. Oh, thank you, Wanda. Guys, I'm addicted to TikTok. I do. I watch TikTok way too. It's kind of my lunchtime activity and then nighttime activity. Do it for far too long. But one of the people that I follow and absolutely love to follow is Jen Hamilton. Love Jen. I don't know Jen, but I think she's great. I think she is doing good. And by doing good, she is doing well. But listen to this headline from the Good News Network. Andy Corbley writing, Internet showers DoorDash driver and fiance with wedding gifts thanks to note he left in the bag. When a TikTok influencer and New York Times bestselling author received her DoorDash meal in early August, a hand-scrawled note in the bag caught her eye. The words were from the delivery driver, quote, "Your tip is helping make our wedding possible," it read. "It means the world to us. Love, Hope, and Tyler." Jen Hamilton is the author of the 2026 best-selling book, Birth Vibes, Stories and Strategies for an Empowered Birth, a delivery room nurse, and founder of Hot Mess Express, a nonprofit that provides free home cleaning services for low-income parents. She is nothing if not empathetic, and as she described in a TikTok video on her channel where she enjoys the company of some 5 million followers, the note caused her to go kindness stalking. Finding the couple's wedding page, she donated a heap of gifts through Amazon, which arrived in a massive pile outside the couple's front door. Hope, the delivery driver's bride-to-be, responded with a video of the massive presents, writing that they are so grateful. Let's see that video real quick. Hold on. We're going to pause it. Let's go over here. Let's just see this little website. Ah, it's adorable. Terrific. Terrific. Okay, let's go back over here. So they posted the video with a massive presence, writing that they are so grateful. GNN received confirmation following the exchange, DoorDash itself sent Hope and Tyler a wedding present as well. It's not the first time that kindness through her platform has brought out kindness from the platform. In March, GNN reported on the story of a woman who had a DoorDash order brought to her house and was shocked to see the driver was an old man who struggled to climb the 3 steps to her front door. Inspired to help, she set up a GoFundMe which raised $940,000 to allow the man to retire, and her initiative grabbed the attention of the company, which added $20,000 to the man's makeshift retirement fund. Kindness breeds kindness even in a corporate world, and it sure does. And man, that makes me feel good. This is not a no good, horrible, terrible, bad day. This is a great day, knowing that there are people out there like that, helping other people just for the sake of helping other people, which is the best reason to be charitable, kind, and loving to our fellow man. Speaking of being charitable, kind, and loving to our fellow man, you are doing that for me by sticking around to the end and by watching my videos, by supporting me, and boy, do I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. We, in 11 short minutes, are going to be starting our after show for members and patrons. If you are a member, oh my goodness, I think I forgot to post it. I posted it in Patreon. I will post it to the posts on YouTube. Like I said, I was having a hard day. I will post it. I will get you a link. Just go over to my posts on my channel. It will be there in just a couple of minutes to give you a link to join for the members only after show. And I will see you there. For the rest of you, I will see you tomorrow. Now, quickly need to let you know, on Friday, one of our children is starting its move-in day for college. And so Kimberly and I will be gone moving in our daughter for college, so there will be no live stream. I know, no Monday, no Friday this week. It's tough. It's tough. It's the end of summer. I got commitments, right? But I hope that you understand why. I would like to be here, but honestly, I'd rather be with our children, especially on an important day. So I will see you tomorrow. Until then, I bid you adieu. And for those members and patrons, I will see you in just a few short minutes. Look for that post, and I will see you there. Till then, take care of yourselves.